Hi there, welcome to you. Thank you for joining the live chat. Let me welcome the participants. A brief live chat for tonight. Getachew's interview was released an hour ago, and one part of his interview is a blunder committed by Getachew Reda. Let me welcome the participants. First, Med Abduali here, Sahale, first member who joined. He is relatively new to live chats. Welcome, Sahle. Abby Raba here, Jibra joined, Alex T, Best English. Elijah Kano, Simon joined too. Welcome, Simon. MMT here. Yes, MMT. I watched the entire interview. Lilo, Brian Ipsa joined. Welcome, Brian. Brian is also a member. So we have two members, Brian and Sahle. Israel Jimane here says hello. Skandar ever joined. Welcome, Skandar. Montzian Inspirational join says hello. Welcome, Montzian. Oh, Sahle Shafo. Welcome, Shafo. Good to see you. You changed your name. That is why I thought you're a new viewer. Johannes Menelik here. Alex T says you always link RSF getting support from Ethiopia. Where is the evidence? Come on. So do you want me to show a video meeting showing Abiy meeting with Hamdan Dagalo and giving him weapons that use these weapons, or ENDF soldiers fighting on RSF side? Ethiopia is definitely supporting RSF. And these days, more evidence is being shared by some sources, which I haven't shared so far. They're claiming that in Ethiopia, in Gambela, in BG, some training camps have been established where militias are being trained to support RSF. But if you ask me, I think Ethiopian soil is being used by the UAE.
to support RSF. Ethiopian Harar Mada air base is used by UAE to transport weapons to RSF. And secondly, why is that Al Burhan is close to Eritrea and Egypt than to Ethiopia? Obviously, it's because of Ethiopian link with RSF. And Sudanese military also accused, I think, Ethiopians of being involved in the war in support of Rapid Support Force. What type of evidence do you want? Kokebet joined. Welcome, Kokebet. Good to see you. James Birhano here. Nasruddin. Mitikko Dema. Guracha. Skanda says, should we believe him when he says he isn't running for any office? At the time when he established the Nuprical Party, Simrit. Well, Skandar, I think, Getachew was all over the place, I would say. Let me start. If you want, I can start and speak for a few minutes. We'll wrap up this short live chat. Yeah, Med Abdul Ali, I think that map issue was not a big issue. Sometimes I also share wrong maps when I make thumbnails. It happens. But people read too much into that map, I think. No, Beniam. RSF never took Alpha Shaga. Who told you that it was RSF which took over Alpha Shaga? Sudanese military took over Alpha Shaga, I think. Aman Washe joined. Welcome, Aman. Let me start, viewers. Let me speak. I think Gitachew's interview, all of you or most of you have watched. It was in English. Easy for me to understand, easy for me to share my analysis with you. Tarha Kah se join. Welcome, Tara. Let's start. Firstly, I think, I don't know what was the purpose behind conducting that interview by Mehdi, the Al Jazeera journalist known for his hard hitting questions. I mean, much of the interview focused on Ethiopian PM. It was as if the show was about the Ethiopian PM. Mehdi asked questions about Madamar, Ethiopian PM's books. He asked questions about Abiy's Nobel Peace Prize. He asked questions about what Abiy's mom said to him. It was as if a critic of Ethiopian PM planned the interview. Mehdi, I think, just did not do his homework, I think. He was used by Ethiopian opposition. He just quoted statements of Human Rights Watch, Amnesty, this and that, but basically, it was an interview conducted from opposition's perspective. So for me, Mehdi was not impressive. You might not agree with me, but I believe that the journalists, the anchors, the host should be impartial. They should not allow themselves to be used to promote particular agendas. Maybe he's naive, or maybe he allowed himself to be used, and the interview turned into a campaign to discredit Ethiopian PM. That's what my impression is. Then the panel which was chosen was heavily anti-Abiy. Sidale was there, Eddie Standard founder. Eddie Standard is heavily anti-Abiy. By the way, Eddie Standard claims to be neutral, but you know that the news outlet is heavily pro-Oromo Liberation Army. Anti-Fano to some extent. It was anti-TPLF too in the past. And Erati accuses Eddie Standard of being funded by Americans. Anyway, so one of the panelists was Sidale, the founder of Eddie Standard, heavily anti-Abiy. Then Kjetil Tronvoll, the Norwegian professor, we know that he has been anti-Abiy for years, pro-TPLF man, the second man on the panel. Third man, relatively less known, I think, was that Besrat, I think his name, and the pro-Getachew camp he was from. Getachew is not Ethiopian government spokesperson. He is not Ethiopian Prime Minister spokesperson. Who is Ethiopian government spokesperson? I remember that I forgot the name of the lady who used to give press briefings in Addis Ababa with great communication skills. Billene Siom, I think, was Ethiopian government. No. Billene Siom was Ethiopian PM spokesperson. So she should have been here to represent Ethiopian government. Why did Getachew allow himself to be dragged into representing Ethiopian Prime Minister? This is what my question is. He is only an advisor to Ethiopian PM. He is not an advisor on all the issues. His advisor, Bilin Siom, someone is correcting me. Okay. So, Getachew is advisor to Ethiopian PM on East Africa affairs. He is not advisor to Ethiopian PM on morality, on politics, on religion, on Abiy's Nobel Peace Prize. Why did Getachew Reda allow himself to represent Abiy when he does not represent Abiy? So I think that firstly, Mahdi was used by Ethiopian opposition groups. He could not conduct a neutral, balanced interview. He did not choose a neutral, balanced panel. Getachew allowed himself to be humiliated by the way. I was not expecting from him. He could have said to so many questions that I don't represent Abiy. I'm not his spokesperson. I only advise him on East Africa affairs. But problem is that he said too much during war, and it became almost impossible for him to defend what he said during the war. And he had no answer. He tried to convince, but he could not convince. He was not convincing. Firstly, Getachew made a blunder, I think. He is advisor to Ethiopian PM on East Africa affairs. means the Ethiopian relations with Eritrea, means Ethiopian case for access to sea, means Ethiopian foreign policy are Getachew Reda's topics. This is what Getachew should be well versed in. He is advising the Ethiopian PM on East Africa affairs. It means that if Ethiopian government demands access to sea through Eritrea, technically Getachew is the man to advise the Prime Minister on this issue. This is what his area of work is, if I'm not wrong. And here he made a blunder. I mean, he responded to questions about Madamer, about Nobel Peace Prize, about what Abi's mom said to him, and about his friendship with Abi. Why did he talk about his friendship with Abi and etc.? But when main question was asked about his job, he made a blunder. Which blunder? What is Ethiopian government's position about Assab, about access to sea? Ethiopian government says, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia says that the secession of Eritrea of 1990s was not legal. The Ethiopian government, which approved the independence of Eritrea back then, was not legally authorized to do that. That is what Ethiopian government's position is. Basically, Ethiopia is questioning Eritrean territorial integrity and sovereignty. Ethiopian Prime Minister says that Ethiopia wants access to territories which are originally part of Ethiopia, but TPLF government gave away those territories to Eritrea. That decision was illegal. This is what Ethiopian government's position is. This is what Ethiopian PM says. And what did Getachew say? As East Africa advisor to Ethiopian Prime Minister, what should Getachew have said? He should have represented the government because he is East Africa advisor to the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. But he said, I don't think Ethiopia has credible argument against Eritrean sovereignty and territorial integrity. He just threw Ethiopian case for access to sea in the dustbin by making these remarks. He went totally against Ethiopian government's position about Assab, about sea access. Don't forget, who is he? He is East Africa advisor to Ethiopian PM. So he failed. He miserably failed. He was just defending what he said during war, but his current job, he did not know what he said about the Ethiopian case for access to sea. This is where I think he made a blunder. A man who is advisor to Ethiopian PM on East Africa affairs is saying that Ethiopia does not have any credible argument against Eritrean sovereignty and integrity. Should he be in place? Should he advise the Prime Minister, the government on East Africa affairs? No, I am not talking about the questions posed by Mehdi about genocide, etc. Those questions, or about investigations to hold people accountable. No, I am talking about Getachew's role, which he is doing these days as advisor to Ethiopian Prime Minister. He did not know what he was saying about his role as East Africa advisor to the Prime Minister. He went against Ethiopian government's policy, Ethiopian government's stated position about uh, Assab, about access to sea. Goober says Getachew did not do any research on the show. By the way, Mahdi did not do any research as well, I think. He just asked questions which are raised by Ethiopian opposition groups. He quoted statements of Amnesty and Human Rights Watch and whatever Ethiopian opposition activists ask in their tweets. He asked those questions. And Getachew, I think, perhaps oh, defended himself too much. He just lost. Uh, he was all over the place. He forgot that he is advisor to Prime Minister only on East Africa affairs, and he should state government's policy about sea access, about uh, access to sea through to other countries. Mitiko says, Sajid, are Amnesty and Human Rights Watch groups opposition groups? They're not opposition groups. I'm not saying that, but uh, just analyze the questions asked by Mehdi. He did not talk about Abi's gains. You might not agree with his gains. Might not agree with his gains. But there are people who say Abi has achieved something. Lots of people talk about Abi's gains. His questions were not balanced. That's what I'm saying. Skanda said, what does his stammering means on the show? Well, it happens. It happens. That's not a big deal. But what he said, that matters. And at the end of the show, Madi asked about party, the new party formed by Getachew, and he said that maybe these politicians should make way for youths, for new people. And Getachew suddenly announced that I won't be I won't run for any office. And that's what he said, I think. I mean, parties are not owned by those who form parties. If Getachew has founded a party, he will never be lifelong president of that party. He founded the party for people of Tigray to be part of it. A simple answer was sufficient, but he just tried to be an idealist, saying that he will never run for any office. I think that's what he said. Morla Funny Video says he shouldn't have gone to that show. That reporter is very dangerous. No, Morla, I think he should have been clear before going to the show that he was not going as Abi's spokesperson. He was going to the show as East Africa advisor to Ethiopian PM. He was not bound to answer each and every question about Ethiopian Prime Minister. And secondly, he was not bound to just be an idealist in his answers. He didn't. Why didn't he criticize Mahdi? Which was why didn't he say, "Why are you asking every question about Ethiopian Prime Minister? Am I his spokesperson?" Why did he say that? Eden Gaming says, Sajid, in your honest opinion, do you think TPLF and Eritrea are falling off because of how Tigray now wants to talk with the Ethiopian government? They're not falling out, but I think there is coldness. The Stimdo is there, but TPLF is engaging international community. That is why TPLF is just not as active as it was in the Simdo with Eritrea, but the Simdo is still there. It hasn't come to an end. Well, Lilo, I think Getachew actually carried a burden of his past statements. That is why you should speak less as a leader. He was spokesperson of the president of Tigray during war, and he said lots of nasty things. It was difficult for him to defend, but he should have spoken less. I think there was no need for him to tell that Abiy was his friend. Mahdi did not ask Getachew about his friendship with Abiy, but he just said, I was friends with Abiy. So I think he just stuck his neck out in some cases. And I think that he was all over the place. That's what I can say about Getachew. About Mahdi, I can say that he was used knowingly or unknowingly by Ethiopian opposition. User says, Sajid, do you think Getachew is a traitor? No one is a traitor in Ethiopia. Please don't call each other traitors, because once you start labeling people as traitors, then perhaps people start justifying killing them. No one is a traitor. All have their own interests and their own views. People should sit and talk. No one is a banda, no one is a traitor, whether it's Fano, TPLF, Ola, PP. All are Ethiopians, but they have different views, I think, about how the country should be run. No update, MMT. Mitiko said, do you think Getachew is in a difficult situation? Yeah, he's in a difficult situation. But I think Abiy won't fire him, to be honest. That's my opinion. Maybe Abiy will feel for what Getachew went through. And maybe Getachew will remain part of Wahhabi's team, I think. Eden Gaming says Marburg under control in Ethiopia, only 7 deaths so far. Well, Eden, it was in Jinka. And then yesterday, Health Ministry confirmed that it has been confirmed in Havasa too, Sedama. I wrote an article 3 hours ago on newsaddict.com. On newsaddict.com, I mentioned the situation in a town in RC where roads are deserted. Curfew like situation is being seen there because of some patients found with Marburg virus like symptoms. Government is trying to control the situation. I don't think government is hiding, but government is slowly uh, confirming the number of patients and deaths. Mubarak says, why would he even consider firing him? Mubarak, I explained a few minutes ago what Getachew said about Ethiopian case for sea access. That was a blunder which he committed, I think. But still, I think Abiy will feel for him. Ali says Getachew was honest. Mehdi wanted to discredit him. Mehdi wanted to discredit Abiy more than Getachew, basically. His entire show targeted Ethiopian PM. Where is Mahdi from originally? Someone is saying. I don't know. Maybe from some Middle Eastern country. I don't know. Good question. Someone is saying, do you think Mahdi is such a naive journalist to be used by opposition? Well, these hosts do shows on topics across the world. I mean, their topics are from across the world. They interview people from Africa, from Asia, from Europe, from South America, from North America, from everywhere. So I think they have teams definitely, but they don't have their independent views about a situation, about a country, about a region, about a leader. They just rely on the input which they receive through the dominant parties in media which are building narratives. I think Ethiopian opposition is the stronger party in media building a narrative against the Ethiopian PM. So their own homework is missing, which they should do before doing a show on a particular subject. But since they do shows on so many topics that they just don't have the time, perhaps, to build their own analysis about a topic, which is the main topic of the show. I don't know, Goober, if Qatar has any interest in bringing bad press to Arabi or no. Mahdi is from India, Biniam is saying. Yeah, moral of funny video says the main thing of that show is to make you look foolish with your own words. Yeah, you're right. And perhaps that is what sells in the media. Embarrassment sells, I think. That's what he tries to do. It's not constructive, by the way. It's not balanced, but that's what he does, and that's what people like. People have been waiting for this interview because he released the trailer. The trailer shows a Getachew, which was very embarrassing for Ethiopian politicians. So I think he got lots of views. That's what he wanted. That's what Al Jazeera wanted. Yeah, Mitiko's point is also valid. He says Mehdi has the right to ask, and Getachew should have responded to questions he did not want to. Yeah, Getachew should have been selective, I think. He should have perhaps asked counter questions to, but because 38 minutes have passed. Let's end the live chat. Tonight's live chat was just about Gitachow's interview. I shared my impression after watching the interview with you. Do write your impression. What's your analysis of Mahdi's interview with Gitachow's interview with Mahdi? How did you find the interview? Uh, Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. Till then, bye bye.